And we will symbolically light the candle within each of us at the present time. And if Reverend Denise, if you would, I don't know where you, well, there you went. You're
I'm right here.
balancing. You took off. You
I
traded
know.
places on the screen.
Isn't it funny? It just like all of a sudden it scrambles everybody and you go, wait.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, if you would pray us in, I would appreciate that.
Yes,
Thank you.
of course. So welcome everyone. So happy to see all of your beautiful faces. And let's just close our outer eye for a moment and just breathe in that energy of light, beauty, and serenity. We allow that spirit of order and wisdom and efficiency to come through each and every one of us. We see this meeting as one in which we can see Christ in each one, and to bless this time together as we plan and create and move forward with this ministry. Thank you, God, for each one here, for their contribution of transforming lives, inspiring people to make a positive difference in the world. We are excited and blessed to be part of this leadership group in this moment, in this time. Thank you, God. We pray in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, and we say, Amen and Amen. Thomas, you're muted. You're muted. Yeah.
What I would ask everybody to do this evening is to mute themselves and stay muted. And I'll call on you as you raise a hand. I would also ask Jerry.
If you mute, all you have to do is press your space bar and that unmutes you for while you want to talk. That's the easiest way to stay muted.
Yeah. Very true. And so if people will do that for me, that would be great. And those of us that are not on the board, if people could raise your hand, and then if there is a request from a board member to allow you to speak, then we will do it that way as we forego Robert's rules during that period. But otherwise, we'll just remind everybody that this is a board meeting for board members to speak and not for others. And not that we don't want you to, it's just try to maintain some rapidity if we can in the process of the board meeting. So Anne, would you establish quorum for us, please?
Yes, we have quorum. Mahalo.
Excellent, thank you. All right. If everybody's got their guiding principles and agreements, is that a correct statement that you've got them to, you can, I think it looks like we've got a few that are going to get there. And that's great. And I'm going to see if I can figure out how to, maybe I can't. I was going to see if I could move so I could get to my my desktop if I need it, but I don't know how to get this to go, so I guess I won't do it that way. Allison, if
Use
I've
your
got
escape button, Thomas.
I did that, and it kind of takes us down to where I can't see but just like 4 or 5. I can do it that way, and then whenever I need the desktop, I'll do that and then come back up. That's great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. I do have the guiding principles, and that's what I was going to go to. In case people don't have theirs, well, I guess I've got the working agreements maybe instead.
Is this same thing?
Yeah, I'll put these, I'll see if I can put these. How do I do this one? Share screen, where is it?
Look at the bottom, Thomas.
Yep.
And you're going to see a green button that says share screen.
Oh, you know what I think happened is when I when I maximize the screen, I lose it. There we go. Okay. So let's see if I can bring this one up and see if people can. Does that show up for you?
Yes.
All right. I think what's going to end up happening if we all try to say them together, we're going to end up overriding each other and not going to be able to understand anything. So, Anne, you're at the top of my screen. Would you read through the guiding principles and agreements for us?
Sure. Would you just like me to read the first one?
That's fine. Let's do it that way.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay. We continually seek spiritual insight and keep our mission and vision at the forefront of our perspectives and actions.
Allison?
Okay. We value and seek with curiosity a diversity of interests and a variety of perspectives.
Jerry?
We seek to know that nothing and no one is against us.
Jan?
We value humor, respect, listening, safety, and appreciation.
Ralph?
We refrain from making assumptions, gossip, personal attacks, and side talk.
Rosie?
We deal with issues immediately with courage, honesty, and respect.
Debbie?
We value being informed in advance of decisions that need to be made.
Christopher, can you see the share screen? We're on 8.
Focused communication. We value clear, focused communication with respect to the use of our time together.
Reverend Denise?
The board and the minister will collaborate on goals and objectives for the ministry and respective responsibilities of the board and minister.
Beautiful. And then we uphold and behold our board core values with integrity, those of honesty, love, truth, trust, wisdom, acceptance, integrity, and transformation. Thank you guys so very, very much. Beautiful. Do we want to do a check-in with each other this evening as a beginning as to where we are? Or what would you guys like?
We could do our cue cards.
Beautiful. Okay, let's do that. Reverend Denise, will you lead us with that one?
I will. I got mine right here. So please forgive me when I believe that I am a misfit, I am alone, I am not enough, I am fearful, flawed, not the one, or powerless. Because this is who I've come here to be: courageous, peaceful, awake, compassionate, authentic, joyful, and the one.
Beautiful. Debbie.
Please forgive me if I am feeling invisible, not enough, unheard, unworthy, not important, or not the one. Because this is who I have come here to be: authentic, courageous, confident, strong, reliable, compassionate, and grace-filled.
Beautiful. Thank you. Jerry?
Please forgive me and have patience with me if I seem as though I am feeling not important, suspicious, as a victim, worthless, helpless, or unsafe. For who I came here to truly be is someone who is present, playful, irreverent, in integrity, a partner or teammate, self-aware, and loyal.
Beautiful. Jan?
Please have compassion for me if I am acting inadequate, unacceptable, helpless, worthless or unworthy, fake, and alone. Sorry, for who I've come here to be is acceptance, love, support, healing, intelligence and wisdom, loyalty and strength.
Beautiful. Rosie?
Please forgive me when I'm acting undeserving, not valued, stupid, unsafe, not enough, a disappointment. Because what I came here to be is focused and spiritually centered and courageous and kind and loving and committed, determined and compassionate.
Amen. Amen. Allison?
Please have patience and compassion for me if I'm coming from lack, or I'm being self-centered or fearful, rejected, or judgmental. For I have really come here to be of peace, hope, joy, compassion, integrity, and to be of service.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Anne?
Please have compassion on me when I am being not good enough, not enough, unworthy, inadequate, distrusting, and disvalued. For who I have really come here to be is brilliant, authentic, generous, wise, loving, compassionate, and fun.
Beautiful. Chris?
Passion for me when I seem frustrated, hurt, distrustful, alone, unheard, suspicious, and unsafe. For who I've come here to be is authentic, genuine, honest, strong, powerful, in integrity, wise and loving.
Amen. Ralph?
Please have compassion for me when I am experiencing lack, fear, alone, defeated, blame, and broken. Who I've come here to be is someone who is faithful, courageous, loving, strong, a leader, flexible, and like Rosie, warm-hearted.
Amen. Amen. And please have compassion for me when I'm feeling not enough, when I'm frustrated, when I'm irritated, when I'm unworthy, when I'm just not doing what I need to be doing. For who I came here to be is to be in integrity, wise, loving, generous, happy, and the Christ. Thank you guys so much. Amen and amen. Blessings to each of you. Okay. Next on the agenda are the consent agreements, and I'd like to have a motion to be able to accept them as a consent agreement, if that's okay, from someone. I do want to mention a couple of things in mind, though, just so you'll know.
So if you mention a couple of things in yours, does that mean we have to pull it?
You know, if I just tell you guys a couple of things that are informational, do I?
No, it's only when we need to make a decision about anything, just to inform us. No, we're just approving it as is. You can inform us without pulling it.
Okay.
Then I move that we accept the items in the consent agreement as part of the consent package.
Debbie, you're seconding? Okay. All in favor, nod ahead. Looks like I see everybody nodding ahead. Perfect. So there were three things that I wanted to real quickly emphasize that actually are not as much in my report as to let you guys know about. And that is that I had a meeting with Alex with regards to Premier Restoration. I'm sure you guys already know that back many, many months ago when we had the sewage backup and all, we flooded the preschool, or we didn't, the sewage flooded the preschool and the bathrooms and that kind of stuff, and ended up Premier Restoration was called. They came in and they mitigated the issues. And in the process, we then found out that the church's insurance wasn't going to cover any of it. So I asked that they stop the church's side and not to do anything else. That didn't happen. They continued. So I spent a fair amount of time with Premier Restoration. And to make a long story short, there were a fair number of things that were listed on the contract that weren't done. Plus, they were kind to us, and so they reduced the $30,000 bill to $15,000 by the time we were through. So we saved half on that. And then the preschool also had a number of things that they were willing to forgive, and so they reduced their 30-some thousand to 15. No, wait a minute, I'm sorry. From 30 to about 25. So we got about $20,000 off from the overall between the two, and I was very appreciative of what Premier Restoration was able to do for us, particularly in light of the things that are currently happening with the church. They were very understanding from that end. I also wanted to mention to you that this evening, thanks to Debbie and to Amy and to others that have, Johanna, have worked their heinies off, and then something more. I mean, it was like everything got worked to the bone. We were able to get all of the paperwork in for the PPP, for the payroll protection program, paycheck protection. So that all made its way through, and we did get the authorization this time that was much more clear that in fact it was accepted. We got the information last time when we turned it in. We turned it in on Thursday before the Friday that was the beginning, but we turned it in after midnight East Coast time, thinking we would be the first person that could even get in, and we probably were. But what ended up happening was that First Hawaiian Bank didn't recognize it because it didn't, even though we got the information that it had been submitted, that it didn't get done. We called and called and called, and eventually we were told that they kept telling us, don't worry, if you got it in, it's all fine, et cetera, et cetera. But then we got the announcement that it wasn't, they didn't have one for us. So with a lot of work, it's my understanding that First Hawaiian decided that they would accept our submission and move us to the top of the new list so that we will be able to get in on this one. So we've got Debbie Debbie or Johanna, I think it was $200 and some thousand worth of request for a loan that may be forgivable. So just keep that in prayer and in thought. It's not for the church, mostly it's for the preschool, because the preschool has got the majority of the staff that we turn stuff in for. So those were the two things I wanted to add to let people know where we are. So thank you very much. Reverend Denise, was there something in particular you wanted to add to yours?
No, it's pretty simple and straightforward, and I mailed it out a week ago. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but it was pretty simple this month.
And thank you, and thanks very much. If Johanna, if you will let all of the staff know how much we appreciate their reports, and it was wonderful having them all, and we've been without them for a while, and it's wonderful to see them all back in. Okay. With the consent agreements now over, if we can move over to the treasurer's report. And I kind of took a little of your information earlier, Debbie. I'm going to unmute you. No, I can't. Denise, can you unmute her? Or Debbie, you want to unmute yourself?
I'm done.
Oops. There you go.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about tithes for April, which would be based on March's donations of $17,429.19. And one of the changes in the tithe policy, initially we were doing a 25% distribution to 4 different organizations, 3 of which would be Unity Worldwide Ministries, Silent Unity, and Unity Spiritual Institute. But one of the changes that came out of the change in the tithe policy was to drop that distribution down to 1/3. And so what we're looking at is, I have the wrong tithe worksheet here in front of me. But the other thing was that we did not receive any recommendation yet.
Yeah, my apologies. You're right. I apologize. Johanna and I overlooked that. We talked about a lot of things, but we never got back to that. So I think she had someone in mind, but.
Can we suspend Robert's rules, and if Johanna has somebody in mind?
Hi, okay. I see Jerry's hand up though.
Jerry's trying to talk you.
Okay.
Jerry?
Yeah, tonight we're going to ratify the new policy. So you're still on the old policy of 25, 25, 25, 25.
Oh, okay.
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 That's true.
So do we have a 4th organization, or should we pick this vote up in between now and the next meeting?
I have the 3 organizations. I haven't met with Reverend Denise, so I'd like to do that. Maybe Reverend Denise and I can meet tomorrow and then present it to you, Debbie, to go for approval to the board in between. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
Is there a motion then that might be present that we electronically are able to approve? We would need to have a motion made that we allow this to be an
I move that once a decision or a recommendation is made by the minister and committee effectively, that we vote electronically to approve it.
Second.
and a second from Christopher. All in favor, if you'll raise a hand. Perfect. And I don't, yes, I saw a thumb. That counts. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. The March financials were received late. I didn't receive them until 3 days ago. And with this month's financials and all of the paperwork that comes in, we will be bringing back the books in-house. And so what I was looking at, we started to discuss how to set up our QuickBooks files in a way that we would be able to have read access to see any information that is necessary. And so before going over March's financials, and because the budget hasn't been input into these records, I'm looking at working to put the to do the installation of the software on a OneDrive account, and then move on from that point. So that's the plan with regards to bringing the books in-house and this month's financials.
Beautiful. And Anne, I apologize. I'm not asking you often enough if you're okay, if you're getting everything down. I apologize. You're not live, so I don't see you.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So far, so good. I'll let you know if I need help. Thank you so much.
Sure, thanks. Yes, Ralph.
So Debbie, I wanted to ask, without having financials from March, and this being the time that it is, can you give us sort of a general idea of how our bank account looks? Not necessarily the exact number, but I mean, are we looking okay? Are we surviving? Are we sinking?
We're low right now, but I haven't been able to get a good grasp of what kind of donations have been coming in. I actually had to ask the accountant to provide us with the weekly reports. We didn't even get the weekly reports as the deposit reports were going in. So I had to ask him specifically for that. I got that information today. But when looking at the account, the unrestricted account is low. However, we do have some money from the fundraisers, and I was able to go through all of the deposits, verify information within the books, and balance the information in the books. And so now that I did that on paper, now it will be the time to enter everything into the books so that we have a balance and be able to determine exactly where we stand.
So this is a tough time. So I just want to thank you and your team for keeping everything together.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Debbie, this would also give us the information. If we were having this in-house, we could access that so much quicker. So this is another reason to bring back the bookkeeping internally. So I just wanted to say that it's sort of out of your control at some point. And I'm sort of grateful and excited that you're doing that. I think we'll have greater access to our funds and in the information we need in a more timely manner. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Next up are the independent reviews. The draft was sent out to all of the board, and we're looking to ratify the review so that then we can put it out for a view by our congregation. Does anybody have any or any discussion items that they would like to bring up? If I'm not able to answer the question right away, I will be able to look it up and respond as soon as I get that information.
I was very appreciative of the fact that it read as nicely and as complimentarily and had such good report and they were very pleased with the information they got. So thank you, Gary.
Here we go. Yeah, so I want to make a motion to accept and place into our records this review.
And I see a second from Allison.
No.
No, I don't see a second then. I see a second from Rosie. See a second from Rosie. Okay, discussion. Jerry, do you want to start off the discussion for why?
Oops, there we go. Am I unmuting or are you unmuting?
You are.
Okay. Yeah, I read through it. I think that it's indicative. It's a starting point for us. It's not recent, but it does provide us a baseline and a basis that we can do a more current review. So I think it's a baseline. It's not all-inclusive. It does read well, and I think it's a step forward for us. And that's my opinion on it.
Okay. Further discussion, Allison?
I'm at a loss because I don't think I received that.
Oh,
When was it
Uh-oh.
sent? You sent it via email?
yes. Yes, and I'll send it to you.
What date was that on?
I would have to look that up.
I think it was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So, oh, yeah, it's dated March 24th. So soon after that.
Do you know what the email was headed?
Probably independent review. Hold on.
I don't see it. Does anybody else have access to that? And
Debbie, can you check where you sent it to? Did you send it to the board email?
That's what I'm looking for.
Because I don't see it in mine either. I read it when I went into that meeting with you.
Oh,
That's when I read it.
Does
Okay,
anybody else need it while I'm sending it?
that's interesting.
You're sending it, Jen?
I can send it to whoever needs it. Who needs it? Jerry?
No, I have a copy somewhere. I'm just not finding it right now.
Jan, if you wouldn't mind just sending it to the entire group. Yeah, you have to do them individually, so
I don't
I
know if you
know
saw the chat, but Chris said he would like that too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not finding, I'm looking in my sent items. And it may very well be that I sent it to the committee. I'm very sorry about that.
This is not the one that's titled Cost of Independent Review, is it?
I don't know.
Ralph, I don't believe so. I know that that one came in. I saw it, and I did not save it onto the hard drive for me either. So I think Jan is in the process, but with people not having been able to look through this one, I don't think we would be able to look at this one right now.
Okay.
I think that's accurate. I withdraw my motion.
Okay.
And Rosie withdrew her second. So we'll move that one to the May meeting unless somebody wants to make a motion to do an electronic vote. That would be the only other way of doing it. Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, I think that might be reasonable because it's not that we're going to be changing anything on it. This is really about acknowledging that we've received it and accepting it into record. So it might be appropriate to do an electronic vote once everyone's had a chance to review it.
So I'll take that as a motion from you.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
Excellent.
I move that we offer a electronic vote on within a week for everyone to have had a chance to read through the review.
Jan, I think I saw a second from you. Is that correct? I saw a second from Jan. Okay. Further, Debbie?
Yeah, I wanted to add, it says, based on our review, we are not aware of any material modifications that should be made to the accompanying financial statements in order for them to be in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So essentially they're saying, you know, everything looks okay as far as they're concerned. And so, yeah, I'm very sorry that with that glitch.
I looked through my emails as well. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to find it. And is this a document that we could share with, you know, folks outside the board?
Yes, we will share it as soon as we've voted on it, accepted
Right.
it, and all. Yes.
Okay.
It'll go on the
Yeah.
website.
Okay, thanks.
Any other further discussion? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Hearing none, all in favor, if you'll raise a hand. I see a thumb. Jan, Christopher, okay. got everybody, so it was unanimous. I think. I don't know where I don't know where Jan went. She disappeared. I don't know where she went.
Oh,
I
that's
thought I saw her raise a hand, and then all of a sudden she
She did,
disappeared
but
from
she
the
she
screen.
did have her hand up, but she's fallen off for some reason.
Okay, all right. Debbie, you want to continue with your treasurer's report?
No, I think that that's it. It's, I wanted to get the independent review out, make this statement with regards to the financials coming back in-house, and work on the tithes for April.
Super. And you've got the two motions that are on that are electronically votable.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you. Okay. Next on the list.
May I
Yes.
ask a question?
Sure.
Are we going to, we talked about getting out some financials like for Sunday. Are you going to be working on that, Debbie, as far as what we have in the bank, what we have available, what's coming in, some sort of a little mini treasurer report? Not a complete financial, but just okay. That's sort of what I heard Ralph wanting to know, just in a thumbnail, how we doing, how much do we have in the bank? Those kinds of things. I think
Super.
that's important for us to report out. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And just so people know, there will be a board report that we will do after the church service to try to get some of that information out. It will be short. It will be 10-15 minutes as we're transitioning to the greater connection part of what we're doing otherwise. Allison?
Yeah, just a little housekeeping question. As far as the electronic votes, Debbie, are you going to put out an email and we can just respond to it?
Yeah, it'll be like the vote that we got. We did an electronic vote just this past week, and I got 9 votes for.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So it'll be the same.
Let's see, is Jerry still there? Okay, so Jerry, would you like to take us into the Strategic Planning Committee presentation and charter?
Too many things open. Hold on a second.
Would you like for me to share the strategic charter? I don't know whether people can see that or not.
You have to start the share screen. Yeah.
I did, but did it not?
Okay. Now it's showing. Now it's showing.
Did I get the right one for you, everybody?
Yeah, that's the right one.
Okay.
So primarily the Strategic Planning Committee charter just identifies the primary responsibilities and makeup of the Strategic Planning Committee. Basically, the primary function is to review campus-wide impacts of projects and initiatives. The general intent of the Strategic Planning Committee is to take on, it's a think tank basically, to approach multifaceted projects, things that will have an impact on more than just a single environment. It'll take into account public relations, it'll take into account the school, it'll take into account those that, like the wellness center, those ministries that may not be readily thought of as in the course of discussions or something. This is where the intent to shift to a mission-centric ministry came from, was when we recognized that for us, when we were losing Reverend Tim, we recognized that our challenge was The loss of a charismatic leader caused us heartache, and that hadn't been the first time around. So really, it's to serve as a liaison between other committees too. Now everything. Or sit down here. There's alignment with a mission. Everything the strategic planning committee will do will be aligned with the mission of Unity Church of Hawaii. So anything that we address, we give consideration to the impact for any area of the church. It's always going to be based upon what the mission is. So if you shift on down just a little bit more, qualifications for the members, primarily they have to be members or attendees of the church, not face a conflict of interest with a specific program, or if they do, they have to recuse themselves. Be willing to adhere to our code of ethics, and attend a minimum of 75% of the strategic planning committee meetings. Now, because we are dealing with a lot of different programs, they need to have the members, it's preferred that they have a long-term familiarity with our operations, that they have an understanding of all of the interrelations of the different parts of the ministry. And they have and this is an important one here, they have a sense of understanding of human, departmental, social, and community interaction. Some of the challenges that we face sometimes are someone thinks something's a good idea, but it's important, it's incumbent upon this group to keep in mind the impact that that's going to have, not just from an operational, but also a social, morale, a wide variety of considerations. And of course, because generally these are going to be long-term programs, we're looking for people who are visionaries at heart. So other than that, it's pretty much very similar to other charters. It's very nebulous because typically the kinds of programs that this group will engage in, we don't know. We really don't know. And it's not going to be this committee's function to actually do the work. This is something that I think Richard was one who's really helped us put that thought in place, which is the intent of this committee is to come up with the ideas, provide the base work, do any kind of liaison work, bring in resources if they're important, but the actual work will be done by those areas of the church, whether it be the operational group or other committees who are more responsible for the work. So in a nutshell, that's basically what strategic planning is.
Beautiful. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to accept?
I move we accept the Strategic Planning Committee Charter.
So Jan made a motion to accept the Strategic Planning Committee Charter as written. A second from Christopher. I think that was a Christopher, a second. Okay. It's hard to tell whether I want to say something or it's a second. Okay. Jerry, did you want to say anything Jan, did you want to say anything with regards to your rationale for?
I think Jerry did a good job. So I think we should accept it.
Superb. I think, Allison, you had a hand.
And yes, I agree. It's you did a great job with that, on the purpose and all of that. I did have a question though as to the qualifications, and was kind of curious as to why we didn't require a committee member to be a member of the church, seeing that this is a really, we're talking about someone who is going to make plans or recommendations for our future. I mean, being a member shows commitment to, our community. And if they're not willing to be a member of the church, then.
So I'll give you an example, and I hear your question, and I didn't wrestle over this. I thought about this. Our committee members are ratified by the board, so the board's going to make a determination who's appropriate. But for example, this committee last year, I would have been happy to have you on it, and you weren't a member yet. or at least for a year, okay? So the thing is, we may have people who are a member of this committee who have special skill sets that might be appropriate for a period of time. Now, it's written in there that we can have ad hoc members or members for a certain specific requirement, but because we may need a realtor on the committee to help us with some issues, we may need a legal representation on the committee to help us sift through some issues. Okay, so those are the reasons we might want to have people who are not necessarily members at that time, but all members have to be agreed upon by the board.
Okay.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, if you'll raise a hand. And we got unanimous. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Jerry, do you want to finish with do you have a report other than the committee charter?
No, we haven't met yet. And I think it's probably high time we do. It might actually be easier for us to meet since we'll be doing so remotely. But it was difficult in the past to get everyone together at the same time. But I believe it's time for us to start looking at what might be appropriate for us to do. We'll meet soon, over the next month, I'm sure. I hope.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Jan, do you have a school report for us?
Well, we've been meeting weekly with the school to just touch bases. There's a lot going on. If you read the report from Unity School, which Sergio finally got to us, he was apologizing for not doing the last couple months, I guess, that the children are not going to be on campus until after, probably after the summer, but they don't know for sure about summer yet. They reduced the tuition by 50% so that, because they were not providing the childcare aspect, but they've had an online classroom going on with the teachers leading activities for the students, and materials being provided to for the families to pick up. Of course, they have financial concerns. Also looking forward to, the results of the PPP application. And both Jean and teacher Kim are going to be retiring at the end of this school year, which means they basically from now. And I think that's pretty much it.
Would you mention where the school is with regards to students and if any have decided to withdraw?
I think he said 4 or 5 families withdrew, but they were all children who were going. This was going to be their last year anyway because they're moving into grades, and then 6 families, maybe 7, donated their half of the tuition that was forgiven, which was nice of them. I haven't heard anything about the next school year, and I think there's a lot of kind of holding our breath and waiting to see what's going to happen before people decide what, commit to anything for the coming school year.
Yeah, no, exactly. Thank you. And that was what I was talking about, was the fact that there were only like 3 or 4 families that are going to be transitioning anyhow that have voiced a desire to move from the school. And so that's great. That's great. Thank you very much. Any other reports for the preschool? Hearing none. let me run through real quickly. I sent out to everybody the Endowment Foundation's brochure and pew card for people to look at. That has not been fully approved quite yet by the Endowment Foundation. We unofficially have approved it, but we haven't officially approved it. I just wanted people to be able to see where some of that is. The other thing that I want for the board to be cognizant of and to start looking at, as the board is well aware, the board is the electing delegation that determines who the 5 board members, board of directors are on the Endowment Foundation. The current 5 include Karen Cunningham, Sally Hartman, Jack Randall, Michael Hamnet, and me. And we were appointed as the originator of the Endowment Foundation, had the responsibility of naming people until the board had a chance to be able to do that. So that happened, but it is the desire of the board of directors, as well as my desire for the board of trustees to select who they would like, and I want that to happen as quickly as we can. So I would like for people to be thinking of names that you think might be of benefit to the Endowment Foundation, and we will either take nominations and decide during the May meeting or the June meeting. I know it's a little bit harder right now because we're doing this electronically, and I will let you know that the board of directors of the Endowment Foundation are also looking at who they think, by looking at people that are in the community and people that they think might be helpful, looking at attorneys, looking at real estate people, looking at agents, financial planners, and others that are and are not part of the congregation, and give us, they're going to try to see what they can do with finding between 5 and 8 names that the board may decide that they would like to look at. The Endowment Foundation 5 that are on are willing to stay on. I'm not sure how much longer. Karen Cunningham said that she was not going to stay on, but her house on the Big Island and here have not sold, transferred, and so she may be able to help out for another part of a year, depending on what happens with that. Jack said he could stay on for a year or 2. Michael for a year or 2. Sally for a year or 2. Nobody would commit to 3. So we'll have to see what happens with there. And I'm willing to stay on it's kind of a baby of where I would like to continue to work with, but we'll see what happens with that. So all I'm saying is, from my report, do think outside the box at what are possibilities, and we'll bring that up again in the next meeting in May. That I would like for it to be such that in the long run, that the board of trustees elects the board of directors before we switch in March. And so what I would like to have happen is that this next year, that in February, we determine and or select who the board of directors will be for the following year, so that we've got continuity and we don't have a lot of, because you'll be hearing quarterly from the Endowment Foundation people coming in and talking, so you'll know who they are. And I don't think it's fair to have people that have not heard anything from any of them to try to decide, particularly this first time, because this first time we have to select all 5. And what happens this first time is that there will be 2 people that'll take a 3-year term, 2 people that'll take a 2-year term, and 1 person that'll take a 1-year term. And that will then start the sequence, because this will be the first time that we'll do it. Okay, and whether I have to think about that. I think probably what the board needs to do is to decide who the 3s and the 2s and the 1s are. Probably let me get with an attorney and figure out how to do that, because that I'm just thinking outside the box, and it will only happen once, and this will be the one time that it will happen. So I need to find out what is the legalities of doing it. The bylaws do not say how the 3, 2, and 1-year term will be selected the first year. So I'll need to see if anybody can help me with that. Okay. So that was the end of the endowment report. We'll go into any questions with regards to any of that. Going into unfinished business then. Debbie, would you like to walk us through the accountant or the steward of finance position?
Yes. In order to bring the books back in-house, we will need to find somebody who will do the church's accounting or bookkeeping. And so this job description or position description was put together. Essentially, we took what was originally Amy's. Something else that I'd like to say that I believe is very important to managing the finances of both the school and the church. At one time, we had one bookkeeper doing everything for both the school and the church. And I think that it's very important that we have a bookkeeper that focuses on the school and a bookkeeper that focuses on the church. The businesses are very different. The work in order to maintain the books are very different, and so that's why I believe that we need the focus. The other thing is that I think that we saw some blending of paperwork that made it difficult to put together all of the papers when gathering everything for the independent review. And so it was from some of those questions that came back from the accountant that led me to feel very strongly about making sure that we have a separation with regards to our financials, to ensure that the school's financials are managed by one person, and that the church's financials are also managed by somebody else. And so we're looking at really a part-time position. Most of what is done is recording transactions that take place for the church into our software, our accounting software. I've also been looking at, from last year, I was looking through methods of ensuring checks and balances are being observed for all of our financials, and not just checks and balances, but to establish policies and a separation of this is what the policy is and these are what the procedures are. And some of that has started. When one of the first things that I did was to look at the counting of the money. And so as we started to make sure that we had teams rotating the position, so it wasn't the same people always doing the counting. This was part of ensuring our internal controls are observed. with the checks and balances that are necessary around our finances.
Did I let everybody, did I pull up the share screen to be able to look at the Steward of Finance
Yeah,
job
you did.
description?
Thank you very much.
Did you want to walk us through any of that?
Sure.
Did
So
everybody already look at it and everybody's got an opinion as to where we are with it? Allison? I'm sorry.
I just have a question. So is this job description for just a church bookkeeper, or is it for the school as well?
no, this is for the church bookkeeper because the school already has one.
Okay.
So Amy used to do both the churches and the schools. And when the church went to an outside accounting firm, Amy
Right.
continued to do the schools bookkeeping, as well as both church and schools human resources. So she does payroll for both the school and the church, which, you know, that would be fine. It was just separating out the financials that I thought was important.
Thomas, is it okay if I ask more questions? I'm just learning as we go, so I just wanted to understand how this works.
That's the purpose. Yeah, please.
Okay. So is there any, is the church responsible for having oversight over the school's books, or, and if so, how does that happen? If we have a separate bookkeeper?
Debbie, you want me to go ahead?
No, I can. The bookkeeper for the school provides us with the school's financials. You haven't seen them yet. She was a little bit late on this month's as well. But yeah, she does provide the financials for the school to the board. We do have oversight over all of their finances. But something else that I had mentioned is that there's a difference with the way or the things that they're looking at. You know, for example, the tuition, and the parents are allowed to pay in advance because many of them want to use their credit cards or, you know, any kind of cash back or awards, and they're able to pay in advance by the quarter or even by the year. If they, you know, they can use the credit cards if they're paying it in advance by the quarter or by the year. Those are some of the differences that I see with regards to how the school's books are kept and how the focus of the school's finances as opposed to the focus of the church's finances.
Jerry.
Yeah, something I want to add here. Allison, you bring up an important point, and that is that the church does have to have oversight. So there is a responsibility that we as a board of trustees have in oversight of the church, of the school's finances, actually the whole enterprise. This has been a point of contention in the past, and one of the things that we're doing with this memorandum of understanding and business agreement with this school is to define those roles and the mechanics to help us be able to get the communication established, so we have the mechanisms in place to be able to get the information needed in a way that is appropriate for both sides of the house. Okay, that process, we're not quite at that development yet. Right now, we've got the MOU in front of Sergio, get the initial buy-in. Then we're going to sit down with all the major players, Johanna and Amy Lisa and Kathy, and put together the programs that will establish how the entities work together and what the hierarchy is. So your question is right on. We don't have all the answers right now.
Exactly, Jerry. Thank you
Very
very
good
much. I appreciate
questions.
that. Yeah. The other piece of it is that it will come to the preschool committee, and Jan, Jerry are already working that piece of it. And then obviously the other piece will be that the treasurer of the church will be supervising and or looking at all of the both sides of the books, because that's what the board treasurer will be responsible for doing. So it'll be a fairly comprehensive way of being able to look at it with yes, Denise.
Um, uh, this might have got said, but I just want to make sure it gets said again, and that is with Debbie and in our finance meeting and looking at bringing our bookkeeping internal, which is a great idea. We also want to be mindful that we need an oversight of that. So we had a discussion about using an outside accounting firm to review our work on a more regular basis, maybe quarterly, so that we're not, if we are doing something that's not best practice, that we make those corrections more quickly than waiting a year or so. So that was the other conversation as well. Yeah.
And that will help considerably when we do our annual reviews, because the quarterly person that's going to be looking at the books can kind of just say, amen, hallelujah, you guys have done a good job. Thanks for keeping me involved in the loop the whole period of time. So that's the idea that where we're going. And I applaud, I appreciate, and I certainly, yeah, I really appreciate the work that Jan, Jerry, Debbie, Johanna, the whole team is doing with working this and making it smooth and a collegial and a well organized kind of a way. And it's amazing. Everything is the information is flowing freely, and the areas of that's my business, is not yours, those barriers and walls have come down, and everybody is feeling supported. So thank you for the preschool committee and for Debbie and for all that work. Debbie, were there other comments or questions? I don't have a motion on the floor to really discuss the job description at present, which I would welcome or entertain if somebody would like to so make. Was my request not clear? My request is that if somebody would like to make a motion to adopt the. Go ahead. Jan, did I see a hand?
Not exactly, but I'm entirely willing to move that we accept this job description.
So a motion has been made by Jan to adopt the job description, and Allison, is that a second? And Allison seconds it. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? And I got everybody, and perfect. Okay, so that one passes unanimously as well. Blessings to one and all of you guys. Thank you, thank you. So the next thing that is on the agenda is the tithing policy. And Jerry, did you decide you were going to do that next? You're going to do the electronic version, right?
Yeah, I'll do it right now. So if you'll stop, let's see. Let me share the screen.
Okay. You want me to, or are you going to?
No, I'll share it. I got it right here.
Okay, thanks.
Are you seeing it?
Probably. Yep.
Is that on, I can't see, is that on your screen? The tithing policy?
It was, but it's gone.
Yeah, I think what you got on there you want to take down.
There you go.
There you go.
Hold on a second. Then let me shift it to this screen so I can see it more easily. Easy enough. Well, all right.
That's the problem I was having too, Jerry. It's
Okay.
hard to get it
All
on
right.
the screen you want.
So this tithing policy we approved back in September. However, in that approval process, we felt that there was a component missing, that there wasn't a spiritual component that was written into it. So Johanna and I said we'd put our heads together and come up with something. And well, we've both been a bit busy. And so we put together something that the committee basically gave us buy-in. And actually where it is, it's this paragraph right here, which says, prosperity principles have been a part of Unity since its beginnings. We know that we do not give to move God, but to move ourselves into the flow of consciousness of giving and receiving. Our prosperity is rooted in knowing God as our source and the good arriving through a variety of channels, both expected and unexpected. As a result, we expand our consciousness of trust, giving, and allowing our good to be revealed in new and wonderful ways. And I'll add a period at the end of that sentence. So that was the paragraph that was added. And I would like to say that I didn't write it. I pulled it off of a document, off the UWM website. One of the things I want to remind you about, and this is what Debbie had spoken of earlier, is that there was a change in the policy, whereas in the past we were giving 25%, 25%, 25%, 25% to 3 different UWM organizations, and 1 quarter was discretionary between the committee and the minister. And we changed it this time to shift it into thirds, 33 and a third, to 2 of those UWM entities on a rotating basis. And the third one, the third would be in conjunction with the minister and the committee, and or whoever might make that decision. We're saying the committee and the minister here. The intent of that change was to provide a little bit larger gift, if you will, or a little bit larger tithe than because it'd be a larger percentage of the total gift. And that's why it was changed to a third instead of a quarter. But that is the only difference. And so at the end of it here is the workbook that shows how the money would be divided up. And this shows you if we had a $12,000 income, 10% of that would go to, and then we would give a third to either Silent Unity, Unity Spiritual Institute, UWM, or Unity Headquarters. Two of the thirds would go there. And then the other third would be discretionary, and that could be divided up if they wanted. And that's what that spreadsheet shows. So that's the only difference from what the old policy was. One other addition too is the old policy did say it would go to a local nonprofit, something to that nature, and we pulled out the local so that there was more discretion provided to the committee and the minister to give it where they wanted, where they felt was appropriate for it to go. And that's the extent of the changes on the policy. So effectively, there's no difference from what the board was approved in September, except for this addition of this paragraph right here.
And making it much crisper and clearer, and I appreciate that. Thank you. So Jerry, would you like to make a motion to?
Sure, I move that we accept the new tithing policy as presented.
I see a second. I see a second from Debbie. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? I see hands from all, and Anne's got a thumb. Okay, So again, unanimously passes. And thank you so much for the work that you went to work on this, both you, Johanna, Debbie. It's a very nicely written policy. Thank you. It's great. And Jerry, if you could unshare your screen for us for a moment. Yes, Jan, I agree. It was well done. Thank you very much. Okay. Let me give you a little bit of some information. Let's see, are we there? Yes, we're there. So board retreat, I wanted to let you guys know that I did get a telephone call from Sister Ivy at the St. Anthony's Retreat Center. It's in Kalihi. It's at the end, it's almost as far up as you get when you get to Jan's house. She runs past it every day. But it's a very nice area, and we are looking at June the 26th and 27th. They allowed us to do, the month of June was supposed to be totally for cleaning, and they were not going to let anybody in. But thanks to some of the COVID stuff and a variety of other things, they've done a lot of the cleaning already. And they said that if they are back open, they will let us have the retreat center for that time and let us use the Rose, I think they called it the Rose Center, which is one of the biggest areas. And they were going to have rooms for us so that we can spend the night. And so I think that if we can do that on the 26th and 27th, that's what we have got scheduled. We wanted to do it before Reverend Denise decided that she was going to leave, which I think she's going to have a little bit of time even after to be able to work with us. So that is where we are at present. I don't think it needs a motion or anything else. I just wanted to let people know where we are. Yes, Jan.
Which month are you talking about?
June 26, 27. Okay. So June, yes, ma'am. We tried seeing what we could do in May and April, and obviously the April stuff started falling apart, and the May one, we weren't sure what was going to happen with COVID. So anyway, that's kind of where we ended up. All right. Jerry, I pulled the approval of the MOU. Actually, I guess we should have done that. I apologize. We should have done that when we were doing the approval of the agenda. I took the approval of the school MOU off because you had said that we weren't ready. So my apologies for not mentioning that before, but yeah, that one's been moved to the May meeting. So Anne, we are now at a place of, and I'm sorry, are you keeping up okay? I haven't been asking again.
Yes, I think so.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So I think as I looked back through trying to see where we were, the only thing that was on last month's action items that have kind of been hanging on was the one that I bulleted with, do we want to keep or remove the agenda, the previous decision for electronic voting on the budget? We've kind of already done that. Is it okay if we take it off of the do outs for this month because we've done it? Or have we completely done that? We did the budget. Okay, good. Okay. So we're now into new business, and I think that we've already approved the tithing policy. We've already approved the strategic planning committee charter. You guys are awesome, and it got done during the others. And so I think, Anne, we are now at a place of, if you can go back through the things that are due outs for this meeting.
All right. And feel free to jump in if I need to make any adjustments or, if anything needs to be switched around. So the first due out I have is for Reverend Denise and Johanna, that they will be meeting tomorrow, April 24th, to decide on an organization for tithing, and they will give it to Debbie. And the next due out is for Debbie, that we will do an electronic vote by the next board meeting in May. And then after that, I have Jan is responsible to email out the independent review to the board as soon as possible. Next person is Debbie, that we will do an electronic vote in a week to accept the independent review. And then the next one I have here is for the whole board to think of names that may be of a benefit for the endowment foundation for the board of directors. And that'll, the deadline for that would be our May board meeting. And then for Jerry, that we will look into approving the Unity School MOU at the May board meeting.
Jan?
I've already sent the independent review out. You don't have to have that on the list.
Okay, thank you.
And just because I didn't get the first electronic vote for Deb was for,
That was for, okay, hold on here. That once the recommendation was made by Reverend Denise and Johanna, that we will vote electronically to approve it for the organization for our tithes.
perfect, that's right. I appreciate that. So electronic vote for the tithe. Perfect, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome job. That is so nice. It's wonderful. We've got them all down and so perfect. Any additions, anything that needed to be added to the responsible persons? Okay, well guys, we're 45 minutes early. You guys are, yes, Reverend Denise.
So I just wanted to take 60 seconds to just remind everyone, you know, to be on the Sunday community gathering after our service. I'm assuming you're all watching the service online, but then coming to the gathering on Zoom is so important for the congregation to see your faces. And that's sort of, you know, we've agreed to that we would participate on Sundays. So thank you all. Most of you are. Just reminding you of that. It's actually great fun. We have so many wonderful comments coming from people. The Greater Connection Project of 2020 is going very well. Today I received 20 free face masks from Terry Hubert that we'll be donating to the church, and we'll give those away. So when we call, we'll ask people if they need a face mask, and then she'll make them for a modest fee of $6 after that, and we can find donors. I'll be happy to be the first one to buy like lots of 10 or so, and then we can just give those away as well. So just wanted to inform you on that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All righty. So if it's okay for everybody, I think we will, I think the word is recess to executive session. Is that the right word? Or we'll go into executive session, whatever it is, we're going into executive session at this point. So there's two ways we can do this. We can either go into executive session by being taken into a chat room with all of us, or we can have Catherine, Charlie, I guess, oh, and Reverend Margie will need to be able to count votes if we need to do, but so we can go into executive session or we can go into a chat room. Is there a desire one way or the other?
So Thomas, per our conversation earlier, I created a breakout room for you all.
Okay.
Executive session, and then it's anonymous polling as well. So, and then those results come back, and then they get, then the executive team can see exactly what those polls are, what those numbers are.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. So if you'll move us into the other room, and then after executive session, we'll come back to the main room. And if there are people still here, Catherine, Charlie, Richard, anybody else, we will come back in and we'll make an announcement of the actions out of executive function, executive session, not function, executive session.
Okay. So
Thank you.
move everybody right now.
Thomas.
Here, I'm going to admit him. Oh, somebody's, then I think Margie already let him in.
I did, and I admitted Jan. I took the power.
And oh, that's Jerry. Looks like maybe Jerry got kicked out too.
I think I just let Jerry in, but Jerry's right here. I mean, well, you can't see my computer screen. So Jerry's here. Jay did.
He's just not sitting at his computer right now.
Right.
Well, it says that he's connecting to audio.
Oh, here he comes.
I don't see you, Jan.
I see Jan.
Me too.
Okay.
I am here, I assure you.
Uh-oh. That sounds wicked.
You know me.
Can't hear you, Thomas.
Where's Thomas at?
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we have everybody. Yes, we've got everybody. Due out or the action out from our executive meeting was that Reverend Denise is going to get to us Allison?
I just got a message from Ann. Ann, are you here?
Yeah.
No, I see her face, but she just sent me a message and said that she's not there or something. It says host has to let me back in. I'm waiting.
She's here.
Ann?
It's saying host has to let me back in.
It's not in the waiting room.
Ann? She's not answering, so I don't.
Oh, there. She's connecting to audio now.
Now she's here. Are you here?
Hello, everybody.
Oh,
There
there
she
you
is.
are.
Yay.
Blessings, blessings. So we went into executive session at whatever time it was. We came back out of executive session at 8:54, and the due out, the action out from the executive session was that Reverend Denise will give us some information as to where she feels the church is at present in its progress of moving into being able to look at a new minister and when that might happen. She will also give us share with us the information she has shared with UWM, and then we will go back into executive session next Thursday to have a further discussion of what her feelings are of where we are.
Perfect, thank you.
So at this point, I would entertain somebody moving to Jerry. Jerry and Ralph seconded. So it has been moved and seconded that we adjourn. And so we will adjourn the meeting at 9 o'clock. Blessings to one and all. I love you and I appreciate you. And this was a wonderful time.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Aloha.
Bye. Bye. Bye.